So, dudes, welcome to episode 1 of the Gregor Gaming Experience podcast, a weekly gaming news and discussion podcast that I will be running every Saturday at 1 p.m. So think of it as a little official thing to go onto the main channel, regularly scheduled content that you can expect. This episode of the show is being done a little bit differently than how I originally wanted to do it. I was going to have a co-host come on with me and talk about what I'm going to be talking about right now, but due to time constraints, it just didn't really work out. I am recording this pretty late, the day before. Well, actually, it's actually tomorrow. That's how late it is. That's an old Gabriel Iglesias joke. It's so late that it's tomorrow. So just gonna get into it by myself here and kind of ramble on for a little while. Not too long though. I'm gonna try to keep the discussion well and condensed. But this was something that was kind of on in the back of my head because the purpose of this episode was to talk about Deathloop and a couple of other shooters that we're excited to see come out in the near future here. But there's just one small problem with Deathloop that I'm experiencing. I can't play it. That's pretty much it. I've recently given my recommendation or my not recommendation of it. Would love to play it. Can't. Keeps crashing. $60, pretty big studio behind it. Arcane, I believe, is the name of it. The studio responsible for the critically acclaimed Dishonored series. I didn't really play enough of Dishonored to give a good opinion on it, or well-informed opinion of it, I should say. But I saw the trailers for it. I saw the press for this, and I thought, you know, this looks like a really interesting concept. I'm pretty eager to check it out, and it looks like it got review bombed at the start because of crashes and performance problems, especially people who had pretty sophisticated hardware in their PC. I don't have like a nuclear submarine of a PC. I have like relatively modern tech in it. I have a 10th gen i7 in here. I have a 2070 Super. So I would think that I could pretty much run just about anything upwards of 60 frames without too much of an issue, maybe even 144. Depending on how much graphical fidelity you're talking about here. Again, I can't really talk about it because I can't play it, and I'll show you what I mean. Oh, yeah, and here we are. Furthest I've gotten in the game, and yeah, and then boom, done. And this has happened. This has happened 3 times. I mean, this has happened 3 times. You know, it's not installed on a drive that has too much stuff on it. It's installed to an M.2 drive. It shouldn't be having any speed loading issues, but this is what's happening. And I don't know what to do to fix it. But I'm sure what a lot of people would tell me to do is, Greg, why are you making a podcast episode about it, bitching about this? Why don't you go onto Steam support or tech support and then you know, file a complaint? And then do the thing, and then do this and do that. And I'm gonna be honest, man. The reason that I'm not doing that is because I don't fucking feel like it. Like, I'm a busy person. I have a limited amount of time throughout my week to even play other games at all, because as a gaming content creator, I usually have to focus on one project and kind of stick to it. I have to allot a lot of my time to an individual title, and if I dedicate time to record footage or talk about a different title, I have to basically write off time going through tech support forums on a game that is backed by a pretty big studio with a lot of money behind it, and it's having technical problems on launch that are documented to a pretty substantial degree. I mean, now it's saying mostly positive, but on release it said mixed, right? Game is pretty much unplayable right now due to access violation crashes that keep happening. Constant crashes, can't inspect weapons. Pretty much, you know, you got people here talking about the mechanics and they really like it if they can actually get to play the game. But then you got, it's called the Void Engine because that's where all my frames go. Game's great, just optimized like really bad. Started like crazy on my RTX 3070 Ti at 1080p, even with the latest drivers plus RTX off. Yeah, there's no reason for a game on medium to low settings at the very least. You know, you can give that argument that at high settings, yeah, you're gonna expect some kind of frame loss at the sake of our artistic fidelity, sure. Graphical fidelity, sure. but you shouldn't be releasing a game to the point where you're getting like thousands and thousands of dollars worth of hardware that can't handle it. Remove de novo, please. Too much stuttering. Since publishers insist on pushing the envelope with anti-piracy at the cost of your customers' value for money, this review will only list the negative as a warning. The game stutters, blah, blah, blah. So lots and lots and lots of technical problems for some reason, and this is where we're at. And it kind of irritated me because I was really eager to check out this game and review it, and I wanted a good single-player game to actually play in my spare time for a little bit. And then I saw this game, Severed Steel, and it just came out today. And this is what it's like when I boot it up. So I'm in the next section. I'm gonna turn the audio down a little bit so I can talk. This was not a $60 game. I got this for $15, I think, on sale. How much is it for sale? Hold on. Let me see how much it is on sale on the store page. $22. $22. It's 10% off until September 24th. And here's the reception for it, right? Like, very positive. 78 reviews. What a game. Really good. Super fast, super fun, fast-paced shooter that makes you feel like a female clone of John Wick. It's basically, it takes the bullet time mechanic from Super Hot, and you can activate it at any time, as you saw earlier. But it incorporates, it's a movement shooter, right? So it has wall running. It has sliding, double jumping. And, at least for the enemies that I'm fighting right now, you don't take damage when you're doing any of these acrobatics, right? Anytime you're doing any of these movement tricks, you don't take damage. And you have a limited amount of bullet time on a meter. So the idea is to take advantage of the movement. You constantly have to be moving in order to not take damage, right? So there's an incentive in the game mechanics there. And this is kind of what you do. You just run around, and you do this every once in a while whenever there's a bunch of enemies to shoot. The guns have limited amount of ammunition, so you have to pick up the guns from the enemies that you kill. And then you also have a fucking Samus cannon, which you can use primarily to fuck up the terrain, right? Like that. That's what it's primarily used for, and then you can charge it up. So, it introduces to you all of these concepts pretty early on. It's really easy to figure out. And it just fucking sends you, it's like, here, fucking play Titanfall John Wick. Here you go, have fun. And that's it. And it's developed from, and it's developed by an indie studio. And it's fucking great. And I got it for $22, and it's not fucking crashing every 5 seconds. Like, aside from this just being a fun game to play, right? The mechanics of it are very solid, and I'm having a lot of fun. Like, aside from it just being what seems to be a pretty well-developed game so far, it has a very distinct advantage over Deathloop right now in my Steam library. Because I can actually fucking play it. Right? I mean, I feel like that shouldn't be the primary selling point of a game, right? That it works when you buy it. That's kind of what it feels like nowadays, man. And it's just kind of like, why? Why is that the case? Here's a fun little train sequence. So you can sprint through windows. These guys have shields. I fucked up. I think I die here. No, not yet. So, to be clear, I have no fucking clue what's going on story-wise. I think it's going to explain a little bit of that later. But who cares, right? It's, you know, it's John Wick. But it's Samus John Wick. Fucking go ham, right? Great soundtrack. I am not a EDM guy at all. Not my genre, not my thing. In the slightest bit. And this soundtrack is banging. And I literally just found this on Steam today. That's the only reason I'm playing it. Because I found it on Steam today. It's fucking sweet. It's very creative level design. But again, you know what's wild? I can actually play it. Really satisfying. Really satisfying game to play. I mean, like for an indie team, this is remarkable, in my opinion. This is badass. I'm playing on the recommended difficulty setting, like the not too hard, not too easy difficulty setting. There's other difficulty settings. There's like 5. There's a whole bunch. You know, you want to play in a harder difficulty, you can. If this seems too easy for you. Maybe I should turn it down a little bit because I just lost there. But when you die, or I guess respawn, it seems like, in this game, there's no like, and there's like, snake. It doesn't do like a million cutscenes to, you know, to establish, oh, you died. Don't get shot by a guy next time, and you won't do that. It's just like, okay, you're dead here, spawn again, fucking try again. And that's it. So the gameplay loop here is fucking sweet. And extremely satisfying. Wall running, fucking double jump. Yeah, and that didn't work out. But you get the idea. I'm having a lot of fun with this game. I'm having a lot of fun with Severed Steel. Because I can play it. For one, I can play it. And I can't play Deathloop. And I'm not like bitching about like, oh, I can't play Deathloop. Specifically. I mean, I am kind of bitching. I would like to play the game, but I can't. What's frustrating is that this is something that I think we've come to expect in the industry, especially when we're talking about anything AAA. Anything AAA, it almost seems expected that you're gonna have tons of issues with the game, and you're not really supposed to take devs at face value in terms of the structural integrity of the game when it's released. Obviously, I mean, look here at Cyberpunk 2077. You know, it got an update September 14th. I know they wanted to add multiplayer to this game at some point. I don't even know when they've ever gone around and doing that. But look, like recent reviews, mixed. This game was huge. This was going to blow open the entire industry. I mean, you guys probably remember, like, no other game was coming out at the time like Cyberpunk 2077. I mean, people were so goddamn certain that this game was going to be like a once-in-a-generation instant classic. And then look what fucking happened. I mean, you know, I can forgive the buggy launch. I can even forgive the bugs in general, blah, blah, blah. I can't forgive the lies that this game was promoted and showcased as something that it's not. You know, and then he's talking about the specific mechanics and design choices of the game itself. No one even reads reviews, so I'll just say I'm gay. That's a good one. That's great. I like that. Was this review helpful? Yes, thank you. Thank you to this guy. Broken ass game, fix it. Post-patch review, ignore my hours played. Glitches. This is still the main reason to avoid this game. There's no doubt that this is one of the glitchiest AAA games ever released. Yes, I'm including Bethesda games as AAA titles. It seems to be a running theme with Bethesda, huh? But Battlefield got delayed pretty recently, and it only got delayed by a couple of weeks. Not too long. Let's look up the headlines for that. Battlefield joins recent game delay frenzy, moves to November. This is from Ars Technica. Yeah, so this seems reasonable to me. Because I want them to make sure that this game is going to go right. And here's the thing. I want them to get Battlefield right. I want them to make sure that they're going to polish it and get it to the point where it needs to be by November 19th. So it's a month-long delay. I'm still not confident the game is going to run the way people think it's going to run when it comes out. Now, it's not 2012. It's not 2011. We're not at the beginning of the acceptance phase for AAA games to come out, especially multiplayer games, to come out with huge server issue problems. Server issue problems? Yeah. That's one way to... Sorry. First time doing this sort of thing in, like, one take. Well, not the first time, but one of the first times. November 19th versus October 22nd. That's 1 month to polish the game from a building it standpoint, from an engineering perspective. What's that going to do to the networking, right? What's that going to do to the servers? Probably not a lot, right? Because we've grown to accept, especially multiplayer games are going to come out, and they're just not going to fucking run properly. You're going to wait a couple days, maybe even a week. Maybe even a week after you paid $60 for something to work. You know, your service to work. Can you imagine, right? Like if you, let's say like your favorite author released a book on Google Books, right? There's server traffic for that in order to make the purchase. There's networking involved there. Let's say so many people want to order the book that even if you order the book, the Google Books servers are getting too much traffic, so you can't read the book, and until a week from now, until a week after you buy it. In the digital age, we're getting to the point where we're so removed from the product that we're purchasing, I think, that if we are consuming a product off of a service-based model, we have come to expect, especially in the AAA industry, that there are going to be significant issues, maybe even substantial issues, to the point where the devs come out and they go, "Hey, sorry about that. We'll give you guys some extra creds or something for a week, to make up for it, boosted XP, stuff like that, right?" Does it have to be this way? Does it? I don't really think it has to be. I really don't. I understand that in a very corporate environment that is AAA games development and publishing, there are certain deadlines and there are certain rules. There are rules to this industry that you just you got to follow, and the developers involved have to follow them too. And they are, they're just they're cogs in a machine, right? Can't fault them for that. But what I can fault the industry for, not really the industry, what I can fault people for, is complacency with it. What I can fault our consumers, because that's ultimately the only way that you can get real change in any kind of industry, is if you go, "I'm not pre-ordering this, I'm not purchasing this, I'm gonna vote with my wallet." That's the old adage, right? Adage. That's the old adage. Vote with your wallet. And we are in a games model where hype, I think hype, drives games as a cultural force, right? Because we interact with people, especially in online games. We interact with people, friends. We make friends in online games. We have friends that we know in real life that we play games with, and we talk about them outside of the game. And games have become so mainstream to the point where it's like going to the movies or listening to some new music, right? They've become huge cultural phenomenons that are very different than the way that I understood them when I was very little, right? When I was really young. Because when I was really young, games, if you play a lot of video games, you were a nerd, right? Now everybody has an Xbox. Every dude, right, has probably played Warzone or probably still plays Warzone. There's a lot of dude bros out there that listen to Joe Rogan and play Warzone. Not faulting dude bros who listen to Joe Rogan and play Warzone, by the way. It's it's an observation, right? Playtest was a freaking disaster, so delay was entirely expected. The only surprise is they pushed it back only a month. Not until April 2022. I don't know that I've ever seen a Battlefield game not end up being a giant steaming pile of crap right after launch. If they need to delay it, there's probably a good reason. I'll probably wait until the first expansion. So these are people saying, I'm not even going to get the initial version of the game. I'm going to wait for an expansion to come out. It's So this is a networking thing that's kind of come to be expected. But as I was saying earlier, before I kind of went on a tangent, we're not in the initial stages of acceptance with this sort of thing. I remember when games would come out, and it was expected to just be absolutely livid. Like, wall to wall, bouncing off of the walls, pissed. If you paid $60 for a product, or service in this case, right? You paid $60 to play a game, and then you couldn't play it. Not even, kind of play it. The server crashes every once in a while. You pay $60, you try to get on to play, and it's fucked. Royally fucked. That was expected to be a huge indictment of the competency and the decision-making process of the companies that were involved in giving you this product, right? Because $60 is a lot of money, right? There's a lot of things you can buy with $60, you know? And now, you know, fast forward to this sort of thing. I remember when Battlefield 4 came out, and it was, you know, the launch was a complete disaster. Fast forward to 2021, and now we're like, oh yeah, you know, it's probably gonna launch like shit, but it looks awesome, dude. See the guy? He is in a wingsuit. He can fly around. There's a tornado, dude. There's a tornado. The guy jumped out of the plane and then rocket launched the other plane. Dude. Right? You know, like the guy was the meme, the soy jack with the phone, like, ah, right? Look at the dude. So we just kind of we gloss over it, and we're like, eh. And I understand that the more complicated the technology gets, especially from a networking perspective, these sorts of things are going to be expected, right? But goddamn, I know that you kind of have to. You can't really tell how bad the server load is going to be until release. But goddamn, like, is it always going to be like this? You know, you never buy a game on release. We just don't have that anymore. That's gone. With multiplayer games, it's expected. Single player games? Wasn't this like the last bastion of hope? Wasn't this like the last beacon where we said, okay, this is the place where the artists can go, right? The game developing artists who the Hideo Kojimas of the world, right? Bing. They can put all of their heart and soul into a passion project with like a digital experience of sorts, right? That's exclusively you can enjoy it yourself. It's not relying on other people. You boot up a game and then you get to experience this work of art that somebody else alongside a number of other people have created for you. Nope. Even if it's hyped up, even if it's super, super hyped up, and it's a cultural phenomenon, like Cyberpunk 2077. How many of you had a buddy who played Cyberpunk 2077? How many of you played Cyberpunk 2077 and then got to a certain point and then just got bored and stopped? Remember that? Remember you were in your Discord with your buddies, talking with your buddies when this game came out in the summer of last year, or of this year. Was it summer? God damn, when did this game come out? Last year. God, this year just went by fucking... Anyway. Remember that, right? Talking with your buddies in Discord. And this was the only thing everybody was talking about for like a week. Nope, not anymore. Not anymore. How many people still like do Half-Life 2 jokes? I have been recently playing Half-Life 2 for the first time. I never actually played through Half-Life. Something that I missed out on. But, you know, you have all of these games. You have so many other games that you can buy for much cheaper than Cyberpunk 2077 when it came out on release date for $60. Cheaper than Deathloop for $60. There's tons of single-player games that you can play right now that you probably never got to play. Classics. Classics that you never got to experience. You can buy them for pretty cheap. Mass Effect Legendary Edition. I was so hyped for this game. See the playtime I have? 97 minutes. I was so excited for this. I was so excited. I even got a display for my room. Pretty kick-ass display. You can't turn off mouse acceleration. There's no way to turn off mouse acceleration in Mass Effect Legendary Edition for the PC that they released. This version, the official release. Can't turn it off. It's actually more like mouse de-acceleration. The faster you move your mouse, the slower it gets. So mouse acceleration already sucks, right? But it's so mind-bogglingly ridiculous that it had to have been a decision made by somebody who's never played a fucking FPS game before. That's the only acceptable conclusion I would accept for that, because at least it's understandable, right? if it was done by somebody who had played FPS games before, well, fire that person. Probably that's probably a good idea. But yeah, there's no workaround for it. So the only way to play the game without that shitty, you either suffer with a mouse or you get a controller and you plug it in. Then you play it like you did when you were, playing on the Xbox 360, I guess. Whatever, right? But goddamn, I paid $60 for this. I got a display, $25 for this. Now I gotta go. I don't have an Xbox controller. Now I gotta go out and buy an Xbox controller because a bunch of people who get paid a lot of fucking money, right, added a useless input feature that you can't get rid of. A feature that was in the original Mass Effect, and you can buy the original Mass Effect, the original release of it, get a mod for that game for free that turns off the mouse acceleration. But when you do a port of it, there was no way for you to, like, that didn't occur to anybody to look at? What? What is going on? And I feel like it doesn't get talked about because it's accepted at this rate. And I've kind of, in an ironic way, I've kind of accepted it too because I don't play a lot of single player games. But when I do play a single player game, I try to catch up on the stuff that I missed out on getting to play, potentially growing up, and other stuff I missed out on over the past couple of years. So all that being said, if you try to play Deathloop and you can't, like me, and I don't know why I can't, and I know that people are gonna say, Greg, you're acting like a little kid over this one, right? Just go on go in the forum. Be a mature adult. Be an adult. Go on the forum and then spend hours out of your day communicating with a stranger about, did you try turning it off and turning it on again kind of shit. Oh, did you change this setting? Oh, did you do this? Oh, did you install it this way? Oh, did you do that? I shouldn't have to do that. That's not the problem. It's the problem, even if all of those solutions, probably got it to work, I'd be happy for that. It would still be a giant pain in the butt, right? It would still be a pain in the ass. Because comparatively to even modern games, like Hades, I had one issue with Hades. My save file didn't load one time. I went onto the Discord and I talked with a guy and he solved my problem in like 30 minutes. There's something to do with the files, the way the files were set up. It was a software thing. It was like, installation thing. Here, this is like hardware problems. This isn't the same thing. This is like integral issues with something going on, like on the deep end. I can't fix that. That's the devs. The devs got to fix that. I can't help them fix that. I'm not a fucking software engineer. So if you can't play Deathloop, I don't know, man. Just play Separate Steel. $22 right now. And it works. And it's a lot of fun so far, at least in my experience. And more importantly, you can play it. Right? You can play it. We're I think most of you watching this channel, most of the people watching this channel are in like the 18 to like 30 age range, 35. We're adults, man. We don't have time to do this shit. We don't have time to do bug fixing for huge studios and publishers for free. But with your wallet.